Hi, I'm natekokernot and I want to welcome you back to my channel. Today I'm concluding my series on truth-seeking. I'm going to lean heavily on the words of A Course in Miracles to try to convince you that your liberation, your freedom from the constraints that you have unwittingly imposed upon yourself, are as easily let go of as dropping a thought is. If you've never tried dropping a thought before, try it and see. It's easy to drop it, just takes a little practice. And learning this skill is at the center of what I'm going to talk about today. In the first video in this series, I talked about the cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman and the question that he and his team posed to the algorithm called evolutionary game theory. What are the chances that an organism that has sensory organs equipped to report accurately on the truth of what is there would have an evolutionary advantage? And the answer that evolutionary game theory spit out was 0, nil. There's no advantage whatsoever. But you're probably thinking this doesn't make sense intuitively. Of course you would have an advantage if you saw the truth about reality. The reason this statement makes sense, though, is that if we think about all the different frequencies of energy and light that science has told us are out there, and to which various species are apparently sensitive to, things like electromagnetic waves and such, which migratory birds use to navigate through space. If we think about having access to all of these, because let's face it, they all exist according to science, we could come to the conclusion that our senses would be overstimulated, or in other words, that we would be overwhelmed with too much information. If you've ever taken psychedelics, then you can appreciate Donald Hoffman's assertion. You know that on their influence you begin to see a lot more happening than you normally do, and that your ability to function, say to drive a car successfully through traffic, is heavily impaired by too much sensory information. I'm not asserting that everything you see and hear while on psychedelics is true. I'm just saying that everything you see and hear while on psychedelics is a part of your sensory experience while on psychedelics, and that it's way too much to allow you to function appropriately. There is another way of thinking about this question that does make having access to truth advantageous. Knowing what's true about the reality is helpful, even if seeing it is not. Even if you don't see what you know is there. For instance, you don't see the ultraviolet rays of light that are responsible for burning your skin at the beach. But knowing they're there and applying sunscreen that protects you from this UV light is a good idea if your skin is melanin deficient like mine. Now here's where I switch to just quoting Jesus, the authority on truth who dictated A Course in Miracles. He's not talking about sunscreen and UV light waves. He's talking about a far greater truth that encompasses everything. This passage is from the last chapter of the text called The Final Vision. Quote, "How simple is salvation? All it says is what was never true is not true now and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects. And that is all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true and what is true cannot be false? You can no longer say that you perceive no differences in false and true. You have been told exactly how to tell one from the other, and just what to do if you become confused. Why then do you persist in learning not such simple things?" End quote. He answers his own question, saying that we prefer this false version of truth because it promises us at least the possibility of acquiring more than everything. The truth is that we are one mind with one shared purpose, and that we always have enough. The temptation was that we could perhaps have more than enough if we abandon this truth. But the truth, which we find out later if and when we get more than everything, is that we also get guilt in the package, since we realize that by taking more than our share of everything, someone else now has less. With guilt comes the expectation of punishment. If we didn't expect something bad to happen to us as a result of signing this bad deal, we would likely call it regret instead of guilt. Here's the remedy for guilt which Jesus offers us at the beginning of the next section. Quote, "Let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Let every image held of anyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thoughts of evil or of good that ever crossed your mind of anyone. Now do you know him not? But you are free to learn of him, and learn of him anew. Now is he born again to you, and you are born again to him, without the past that sentenced him to die, and you with him. Now is he free to live, as you are free, because an ancient learning passed away and left a place for truth to be reborn. An ancient lesson is not overcome by the opposing of the new and old. It is not vanquished that the truth be known, or fought against to lose to truth's appeal. There is no battle which must be prepared, no time to be expended, and no plan that need be laid for bringing in the new. There is an ancient battle being waged against the truth, but truth does not respond. Who could be hurt in such a war unless he hurts himself? He has no enemy in truth, and can he be assailed by dreams? Let us review again what seems to stand between you and the truth of what you are, for there are steps in its relinquishment. The first is a decision which you make, but afterwards the truth is given you." End quote. The second foundational truth that Jesus points to again and again in A Course in Miracles is that our sensory perceptions show us what we want to see and not what's really there. And this is backed up by science as well, specifically by Hoffman's own interface theory of consciousness, as well as by quantum field theory. Here's the logic that explains why we want to see things that are not beneficial to us. If we believe our guilt to be true, we also believe we are unworthy of getting the things that we desire, and that we are worthy of being punished. And we're just waiting for our punishment to be dealt us in the form of calamities, sickness, and ultimately death, followed by an eternity of hellfire. We want our punishment now because maybe then we can identify as the victims of this bad deal rather than the aggressors. If we're honest with ourselves about where our thoughts go every time we start entertaining guilt, we can see this whole bargain and how it plays out in our psyches. I call it the guilt hot potato game. And here's the kicker. None of it is true outside of our minds, but because we see what we want to, it sure looks true. Neither guilt, nor fear, nor sickness, nor suffering, nor hatred, nor evil, or death are true. These are all ideas that we humans invented once we had established that we were separate selves. But we didn't establish the truth about ourselves in that moment. We forgot the truth about ourselves in that moment. The truth about ourselves is that we are all invulnerably innocent. We're deeply confused about reality, yes, but the reality is that we haven't done anything that would justify punishment. We did not separate. We just think we did. Let go of that premise that we are separate from each other, and logically, all those other phenomena which are so central to the human experience, go away too. What's left after that is love, the simple awareness that we are one, which was the only thing here to begin with before we started to delude ourselves into thinking we were all guilty sinners. So again, Jesus was telling us the truth when he said the truth shall set you free, and he has told us what's true about us along with telling us what's untrue about us. We are one, we are not all separate. We can't have it both ways if truth is to have any meaning at all. And we're seeing right now in the headlines where the second choice gets us. So let's be grateful that we can choose again. All right, that's enough for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help me get this message out to more people. And I hope you have a beautiful day, full of blessings and miracles. Bye for now.